welcome to WGSN-DB, Going Solo. This is a senior citizens forum being sponsored by Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services. And at Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services, they specialize in Medicare supplemental Welcome to WGSN-DB, Going Solo. This is a senior citizens forum being sponsored by Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services, where they specialize in Medicare supplemental, Medicare Advantage plans, and Medicare prescription drug plans. And we also do regular health insurance for those who are not qualified for Medicare. And today on the Senior Citizens Forum, I am Janice Wood, your host, and I am here with Steve Stearns, and we're going to talk about, I think, a very important subject because I see it being marketed all the time, and that's reverse mortgages. And I know I'm a senior citizen, and I'm going, why would I want a reverse mortgage, okay? And Steve has been in the mortgage business for over 30 years.
Yep, over 30 years.
Okay. Both he and I are native Californians, and I have not been able to get out of LA County, and I remember you talking about you were born in Orange County, and that's where you're at.
Two great granddads that were orange ranchers in Orange County, yeah.
Right, but we're both natives of Southern California.
Yep.
For our age group, that's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
And to be planted here for so long, we have to love Southern California.
Certainly do, and I've got 5 kids and 6 grandkids, so I'm not going anywhere. They're all here in Orange County.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah.
You're really fortunate.
Yeah.
Because my son, he has moved to Brazil.
Wow.
Wow. So you know my son.
I do.
Yeah?
I do, yeah.
Okay, and Steve I've known for quite a while because we're a member of the same business networking group, and I think I've been part of that group for about 10 years now. And not only that, Steve is my personal mortgage person. He is always there when I have a problem, and I have a problem right now that he and I are going to be working on very shortly.
And I brought paperwork.
Okay, yes, okay. I can call him up, and he's right there to help me. I've referred clients to Steve, my own clients, and I mentioned my son who has property, and he has worked with Steve.
Yes, he has.
And everybody says how great he is. But Steve has also been in the reverse mortgage business about 10 years now?
About 10 years, so over 30 years of my career in the last 10 years, also writing reverse mortgages.
Right, which is really, really, really important, okay? And I know when I look at some of these stars that we all recognize doing the commercials
yeah.
about reverse mortgages, I'm going, well, why do I want to do that? Okay, so I own my own home. So why would I, as a senior, want to do a reverse mortgage?
Well, that's a great question, and I actually know a lot about your personal situation.
Right.
And so I don't know if we talk about that, but you don't really need a reverse mortgage, okay? Just knowing your situation, it's not necessary for you. But why would someone want a reverse mortgage? Let's imagine you don't have a pension, and you're receiving maybe $2,500 a month for your Social Security.
Okay.
And you've got a $250,000 mortgage on this home, and you're realizing with all your income now is just $2,500 a month, you've spent through most of your retirement savings. But you've got $1 million home, you've got a $250,000 mortgage on it, and you'd really like to stop making the payment on that home.
Right. So I'm going to go back to, so you're going to look at each person that comes to you as an individual.
Yes. Each person and each property is important too. One of the most important criteria in a reverse mortgage, well, 2 of them are what's the value of the property and what's the birth date of the person that we're going to be doing the financing for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know I spoke to someone this morning and she was saying, well, a friend of mine, his mother is 80 years old. Okay. and she's running out of money, but she owns her property. So they decided to do a reverse mortgage, but they didn't know where to start.
Yep.
So that's what I'm happy that we're going to be able to tell people where to start.
Right.
And what to do and what to look for.
Yep.
Okay. So if I call you up and say, Steve, I'm 75 years old, okay? I've owned my house for 30 years. I live on a limited income. And I would like, life to be more comfortable.
Yep.
And pay off some outstanding debts that I have.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions, Janice. And one of the important questions that I'm going to ask in the big picture of reverse mortgages is, what kind of a legacy are you looking to leave behind? I know you have a son, right?
Right.
Some folks, I talked to a gentleman about a reverse mortgage, and he has no children and no grandchildren. But his legacy that he wanted to leave behind, he's a World War II veteran, was money to display these medals he'd gotten in World War II. So for him, he actually wasn't a good candidate in his own mind for a reverse mortgage, because he wanted to live very frugally for the rest of his life and leave a big legacy. A reverse mortgage has an unknown quality to it. You're gonna borrow money on the reverse mortgage, and that's gonna grow each year because you're not making a payment. At the same time, the value of your home is growing, but we don't know when you're going to leave this planet, leave this home, so we don't know exactly what the value of the home's going to be in the future, or exactly what the value of the mortgage will be in the future, so there's a little bit of an unknown. One of the things I like to say to my clients is there's two different types of clients. One is driving around in a motorhome, and they have a bumper sticker that says, "We're spending our children's inheritance."
I love that sticker.
Those are perfect people for a reverse mortgage, because they've already helped their children with their education. The children are already successful, and they don't need to worry about leaving a lot of money. So for that person, it doesn't matter what the home's worth in the end.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the mortgage balance is. The other person is retired, and they're eating dog food for dinner because they want to leave $1 million to their children. I know that sounds like an extreme example on both sides, but one of the things to think about as a possible reverse mortgage is, where do you sit on that spectrum?
Oh, absolutely. Because, if you want to leave your home as a legacy for your children, or some other organization, okay, because not everybody leaves their money to their children, okay, then a reverse mortgage wouldn't be a good thing.
Well, and let me qualify that. There's just an unknown with the reverse mortgages. Most likely the home will still have far more value than the reverse mortgage has. There's still going to be equity in that home when you leave it. It's just, it would be an unknown how much that equity is. And of course there would be greater equity if you didn't take out the reverse mortgage and kept struggling with a regular mortgage.
Okay, so when I take out a reverse mortgage, okay, my principal that I have is going to grow, become higher.
It certainly is. Yep. So let's say you borrow $200,000.
Right.
Current interest rates are 7%. Well, that loan's going to accrue roughly $14,000 in a year. So after a year, that $200,000 balance is $214,000.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. Because I'm always concerned when I hear about that. My principal's going to get bigger.
Yes, it will.
Okay. And for some reason, that doesn't work for me.
Right. And for a lot of people, I've got a 101-year-old grandmother, and she was a good saver, so she doesn't have any mortgage on her home, and there's still no reason for a reverse mortgage for her.
Right. But if I have a lot of debt, or I need more, that $2,500 isn't enough to live on, or $1,500 isn't enough to live on, and I'm sitting on a $1 million piece of property.
Yep.
Which is easy to do in the area where we're from.
Yes.
I want to look at taking out some money.
Exactly. I'll give you a really good example of a loan that I've done in the last year. It's a gentleman whose wife's passed. He's living out in the Palm Desert area. And he was realizing that he didn't want to go out for dinner or drinks with his friends, or sometimes even breakfast out, because his budget was very tight. They didn't have children, so he doesn't have anyone really that he feels necessary to leave the property to. He's got a trust. And what we did is we just stopped his monthly payment. We paid off his mortgage with a reverse mortgage. There's also some equity there should he need it. And that was perfect solution for him. Now he gets to use the $2,200 a month that he was paying to a mortgage to eat out with friends, to do repairs to the home, that type of thing.
Well, that's really good. No, that's always interesting. I'm glad you said what you just said, okay? That he was able, he can take a lump sum from that reverse mortgage,
So
or get a monthly payment from the
well, most reverse mortgages are neither of those. So those are both possibilities. So you could take a lump sum and then just pay that reverse mortgage down. You could take what's called a 10-year payment, meaning that they figure out how much you can receive monthly as a payment from the home. Most reverse mortgages are written like a giant home equity line, so they call them a home equity conversion mortgage. So let's say you owe $200,000, but the available amount for reverse due to your birth date and the property value is $300,000. So that loan would pay off your $200,000 mortgage, and then you'll have another $100,000 in equity that you can pay things with should you need it. If you don't use that, there's no interest accruing on that portion.
Okay, that's really good. So you can use a combination of different things with the reverse mortgage.
Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing for you to pay.
Well, you still do need to maintain your home. You need to pay your property taxes, your insurance, your homeowners association dues.
Okay.
And also you want to, remember you need to maintain your property.
Okay. So you lit into said something what I wanted to go into. So I'm talking about right now a single family piece of property, but you can go and do the same thing with a condo or a townhouse. You
can, and the most common reverse mortgage, over 90% of the reverse mortgages that are written are called HECMs, and they're insured by FHA, which is a part of housing and urban development. Those loans on condos, the FHA, the condo project, must be approved by FHA, and that's probably only 15 or 20% of the condos out there. Single family residence, you can get the loan for sure.
For sure, okay. Yeah. So you talked about, paying, your condo association. I know my stepdaughter lives in an area where she has a house, but there's still an association with it. So do you have to go to the association in that regard?
Well, no. All I was saying, as far as payments, that payment would remain. So just like you paid off your home, and you don't have a loan on it, you still have to pay taxes, insurance, and if you've got an association dues. Okay,
very good. I mean, because it's so, to me, this is an overwhelming subject.
Yes. Well, and Janice, there's a lot of myths out there too. People think that they're not going to have the title to their house anymore. It remains in your name, or better yet, hopefully in your living trust.
Okay, so you can still have a reverse mortgage and have a living trust at the same time.
Oh yeah, they highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, I've worked with clients before that don't yet have a living trust. We have them get their living trust together so we can close the reverse mortgage in the living trust.
Which is a great idea. I've had actually a friend of ours on here talking about living trusts. Yeah, very important to do, because you don't want to go to probate ever.
And I've actually referred clients to David before to get the trust done.
Yeah. So if you go back and look at some of our previous shows on Senior Citizens Forum, you'll find David on there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So right now we're going to take a real quick break, and we're going to hear from our sponsor.
Okay.
And this is WGSN-DB going solo, and this is a senior citizen.
At Benefits for You Too Insurance Services, we believe knowledge is power when it comes to selecting the correct healthcare and Medicare insurance. Please contact us at healthcareoptions@benefitsforyou2.com or call us at 310-245-0332.
Welcome back to WGSN-DB going solo, and this is a Senior Citizens Forum, and I'm here with Steve Stearns from Thrive Financial, And we've been talking about reverse mortgages. And why do people go and get reverse mortgages? Now, one of the things we didn't talk about, I can't be 45 and get a reverse mortgage.
No, there are no products that I'm aware of at 45.
Okay.
So the biggest population of reverse mortgage is the HECM, like we talked about before,
Right.
and that has a minimum age of 62 years old. There are other products that are available. We're not doing as many of them, but they're down to the age of 55. So minimum age would be
okay.
55. Most of the reverse mortgages are going to be 62 and older.
Yeah, because I always thought you had to be 62 or older to do this,
Yep.
okay? Now, also, do you have any other stories that you could tell us about people who get reverse mortgages or the situations they're in, that's why they want to go and do it?
Yeah, sure. One of them comes to mind right away. I was introduced to the parents from one of my clients who's a doctor. And when I talked to the parents, they were living on about $3,000 a month, and their mortgage payment, I think, was about $1,800.
Ooh.
They had put the daughter through medical school, the son through law school, and the daughter and the son brought the parents to my office. The four of us sat in my office together, and it was so beautiful because what we ended up doing for this couple was we just eliminated their mortgage, so they had no mortgage payment, so they could enjoy their retirement. As we did it, this was a process of the two children encouraging their parents. We don't care how much we're going to receive, from when you pass. You already put us through medical school. You already put us through law school, and it was a beautiful family dynamic. Just watching them encourage the parents, please use some of the equity of the home.
Right, and I think that's really good because I know I put my sons through college, okay, and I help them out in other regards. So now that's a good way of giving back to the parents where they're still alive to make sure that they have a better quality of life.
Yes. And one other thing to bring up, sort of a story also, is there's other types of clients that are actually fairly wealthy that will take a reverse mortgage. And you might say, well, why? Let's say somebody who's got a few $1 million in their investments, but they happen to own a lot of old stocks. They've got Apple stock from a long time ago. And should they take any of that money for income, they're going to pay capital gains on that stock. So what they decide to do, even if their house is paid off, they may take out a $400,000 line of credit through a reverse mortgage that they never would have to pay back. And they're going to actually pull money against the home rather than sell these stocks and pay the capital gains. Or they might sell a little bit of stock per year and pay the capital gains and use the reverse mortgage. So it's another financial tool even for folks that are a little bit more well off.
Well, that's interesting to know because you don't realize what you're going to have to pay taxes on. And you don't have to pay the taxes on the reverse mortgage, which is really good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. The money that comes out of the reverse mortgage is not taxed as you receive it. That's already your equity in the home, so there won't be any federal or state taxes taken for the money that comes out of your home.
That's really good because I know, well, if you're living on a limited income or if you are lucky enough to have invested wisely, okay, you know that you're going to have to pay some form of tax on all of this
Yes.
income coming in. Okay. And that's another reason, that is a great reason because your family, when they take over the property, what happens then after you pass on?
Okay, so there's going to be a mortgage on the home, and so when you pass, once the lender becomes aware that you're no longer on the earth, they're going to send you a notice and give you sort of 30 days to decide what to do with the property. Are you going to sell it, or is the family going to keep it? Either way, within the next 180 days or 6 months, the loan needs to be paid off. If you've got really bad circumstances, there can be an additional 6-month extension. But basically, within 6 months, the kids, let's say there's a son and a daughter that get this through the trust. The son and the daughter are going to either sell that home. So if they sell the home and the mortgage balance is now $700,000, it's worth $1 million, it's just like a regular mortgage, they get the $300,000 difference. If in the really strange, probably unlikely thing happens, the home is worth less than the mortgage, FHA covers that difference. It's insured by HUD.
Right.
and they're going to go ahead and just take care of that difference.
Okay. So that means if the property for some reason becomes less value, that is still going to be covered by FHA.
It's insured by FHA, so your heirs could never possibly owe anything on that reverse mortgage.
Okay. That is really good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me feel better about reverse mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things I'm always concerned, it's like doing anything, when I pick an insurance agent or I pick a lawyer or so if I wanted to pick a mortgage person to do this, what should I be looking for in that mortgage person?
Wow. So I like to talk to trusted people to get referrals, right? So if you've been doing your taxes with your CPA for the last 20 years and you like them and trust them, I'd be asking that CPA for a referral. If you have a financial planner, I would ask them for a referral. The other important piece of reverses that you might not know or think about is you'll be required to do education from a neutral third party prior to me or any other lender really even completing the application. So I can meet you, I can talk to you about a reverse mortgage, but then I'm going to give you a list of a minimum of 10 counseling agencies. You will choose one of those counseling agencies and go through counseling with them. That's the time to really pay attention. This is sort of the checks and balances to make sure that that lender isn't pulling a fast one on you.
That's real important, because the reason I asked that question, because I see all these scams going on, okay? And I'm a senior. I get phone calls constantly. And lots of seniors just pick up the phone and they go, yeah, I'll agree with you, and you give them the information. So if somebody calls you about a reverse mortgage on the phone, I wouldn't do business with them.
Right.
Personally. Yeah. Because I'm uncomfortable giving any information to anybody over the phone.
Yeah, and I'm not doing any solicitation either, right? I don't have any ads running for reverse mortgage or anything like that. I'm taking clients that come in from trusted referrals and helping those folks.
That is the best way. I love referrals. So if somebody were to call you with your information, it's going to be posted and how they can get a hold of you, and they live in another part of the country, are you able to help them from any other states in the country?
I can only help in California and Texas, and then my son, who's on my team as well, is licensed in Arizona, so Chris could handle the loan in Arizona, but just those 3 states for my shop.
Okay, so if you're watching from Arizona or Texas,
or California,
of course, California, okay, please contact Steve at Thrive Financial.
Thank you.
Okay, because I can say personally, they're great. His sons are great. When I've called and Steve hasn't been there because Steve likes to travel.
I do.
Yeah, okay. I do. They're right on top of it.
Yeah.
And they instantly know who you are.
You know, one of the things I'll tell you, Janice, is 10 years ago when I started learning about reverse mortgages, I thought, I'll never have a reverse mortgage.
Right.
The more I've been doing these and the more I'm seeing them as a financial tool, I had my 60th birthday earlier this year. So I'm only about a year and a half away from qualifying for a reverse mortgage. So I will actually consider, as a financial tool, potentially putting a reverse mortgage on my home in the future. I don't think it'll be when I turn 62, but I believe in the product enough that I will consider it for myself.
So, like, if I wanted to do a reverse mortgage, because my mortgage is, I can afford it. Luckily, I can afford it. But if I wanted to free money up for myself, because that's basically what I would be doing it for, would that be a good idea?
Well, it would be a good idea if you didn't have any other savings and you really needed the money, because you don't want to really accrue interest on the money. Or it could be that you just want more money in your budget, right? So you want to eliminate that mortgage payment. So it's really very individual. You know, one of the things I like to do is really understand what your birth date is and who you are and what your situation is, and really go through the process with people of understanding it. One of the downsides to looking at the television, seeing a celebrity there, calling for a reverse mortgage is that person on the other end of the line has one job, and that job is to sell you a reverse mortgage. We do less than 10% of our business in reverse mortgages. We do reverse mortgage, but all other types of mortgages for all people as well. So if you're working with someone who's trusted, that you've been referred to, their only job is not to sell you a reverse mortgage.
Okay. And that's real important, because I noticed that in other industries, I don't want to talk about my industry right now, that person at the other end of the line is only interested in that particular product.
Yep.
When you're dealing with somebody like Steve at Thrive Financial, they're interested in making sure you get the product that best meets your needs.
Very much so. Yeah, my moral compass or whatever is broken. It's just pegged all the way on over. I have to do the right thing. So
yeah, which is really good. Well, Steve, as he mentioned earlier, that he also does regular mortgages, and I'm going to have him back on
okay.
to talk about regular mortgages, and I know that's even a bigger industry than reverse
Certainly
mortgages,
is,
and the different types of mortgages out there. And I mean, just talking about the difference in property value between Texas and California,
It's huge, yeah.
is huge, absolutely huge. So thank you, Steve, for coming on.
You're quite welcome. And I'd be delighted to talk to any of your listeners for a free consultation and no obligation.
Yes, and Steve's information is going to be posted, and how to get in contact with him. My information is always posted, and if you want to contact me, I know how to get a hold of Steve, because I need to talk with him. All right. And I happen to see Steve about once a week. So I do know how to get in touch with him. And he will be back on to give us more information at another time about regular mortgages, and because interest rates, from what I understand, should be changing again.
We've got an outlook for a little bit lower rates next year.
A little bit lower rates, and more properties being sold.
Hopefully. That'll help us.
That will help, definitely help. Or if you want to refi, if you bought property with a high interest rates, you may be interested in those lower interest rates. I know
not yet, but when they come around.
When they come around. But definitely for reverse mortgages, Steve and his sons are very helpful. They are a family that is concerned about other families. So please get in contact with us. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day. And this is WGSN-DB going solo. Talk with you soon.